Hello guys and welcome to the BeyondStandards channel. My name is Shanks and today we're gonna make a tier list for all the characters in the Lord of the Rings, the 3 movies, the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and the Return of the King. The list is gonna be from D to S. D is gonna be the worst, S is gonna be the best. However, the ranking is gonna be based on the impact they had in the story. Before further ado, let's get it started. We're gonna start with Bilbo. Bilbo was the ring bearer at the beginning of the movie. He was also the hero, of course, in the Hobbit movies. In the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and the Return of the King, he did not have too much impact. But he was the one, after all, who was giving the ring to Frodo, so he was kind of starting the story of the Lord of the Rings himself. We're gonna put him in the C. Now we have the horse of Aragorn. We're gonna put him in the S, of course not. We're gonna put him in the D, that's gonna be the worst. Now we have Boromir, one of the captains of Gondor. I like him a lot. Unfortunately, he got killed by lords in the very first movie. He was the first Fellowship member who died. And I think the last one, no one else died besides Boromir actually from the Fellowship. That's kinda interesting and unfortunate for this guy. He did have, decent amount of impact. But again, he was dying at the end of the first movie. So we have not seen him in the second and the third one. So he's gonna be a little bit more useful than this guy, of course. We're gonna put him in the C. Now we have Aragorn. Or is this Aragorn? Is there any other Aragorn? This is not Aragorn. This is Aragorn's horse. So we're gonna put Aragorn's horse also there. Interesting that we have 2 horses right there. We have even 3. We have also Shadowfax. Now we have Celeborn. Celeborn is the husband of Galadriel. We have seen him like 1 or 2 times, I think, in the entire movies. He is pretty powerful, but again, this is gonna be a list about the impact those guys had in the story, and he had like 0 impact. I'm sorry, Celeborn, but you're gonna be in the same list like with the horses. Now we have the cousin of Gollum, Smeagol. I don't remember his name anymore. He was the one who was able to find the ring at the river. But then he got killed by his own cousin because of the ring. We have seen him only in the beginning of the third movie when they actually told us about the story of the Golem. Like, he had like 0 impact in the original movies. We're gonna put him right in the D list as well. Now we have Teneto. Teneto was the ruler of Gondor because Gondor had no king back at the day. Aragorn was not ready. He didn't want to become a king. He is also the father of Faramia and Boromir. We have seen him only in the very last movie, in the Return of the King. He did not have that much impact. We're gonna put him, just to write to his son, Boromir. Now we have Elrond. Elrond was also a really powerful character in the Lord of the Rings, but again, we have seen him only at the beginning, and then at the end, I think in the Return of the King, he was the one who was reforging the Sword of Elendil, Anduril, the Flame of the West. So just because of that reason, we're gonna put him in the B list. He's also the father of Arwen, of course. Now we have one of my favorite heroes in the Lord of the Ring movies, and his name is Éomer. Hear me out, guys. Éomer, we have not seen him one time in the first movie, but in the second movie he was a badass in my opinion. He was the one who was almost killing Krima Wormtong. Unfortunately, he got kicked out of Rohan. With his Rohirrim, he was actually hunting Urukai left and right. And he was also the one with his Rohirrim unwillingly saving Pippin and Merry from the Urukai, because Urukai were taking the hobbits to Isengard. But then on the way to Isengard, they got found by Éomer and his Rohirrim. They were able to kill the Urukai, and just because of that, and also the impact of him in the battles, he was really a strong dude, killing Urukai left and right, orcs left and right in the last movie as well. So pretty powerful. We're gonna put him right in the B list as well. Or maybe in the A list. I'm gonna put him right there. We can change that later on. Now we have Aragorn himself, the king of Gondor, the king of Rohan actually also. I think he is like the king of the Men of the West in general. Pretty strong. You have seen him from the beginning until the very end. He was able to help the hobbits. He was able to help Gandalf. He was, the one who was actually convincing the army of the dead, fighting for him at the last battle at Minas Tirith, which was the reason why they were able to win the fight. That's why he's gonna be definitely in the S list. Now we have Elvin. Elvin is an interesting character in the Lord of the Rings as well. She's the shield maiden of Rohan, like the sister of Éomer, and King Theoden was her uncle actually. She's pretty powerful because she was the one who was able to kill the Witch King with the help of Merry after the Witch King killed her uncle Theoden. Besides that, she did not have too much impact in the story, but only that is gonna put her in the B-list, definitely. Now we have Faramir. Faramir is the husband of Elvin, by the way, the brother of Boromir. We have seen Faramir in the second and in the third movie, in The Lord of the Rings. And he was able to help the hobbits, you know, Frodo and Sam, quite a bit. But he did not have too much impact in this story either, and I think we're gonna put the family together, guys. So we're gonna have the daddy and the two sons right there. Beautiful. Now we have this dude. He's gonna be definitely in the S list because he was the one. No, of course not. He's gonna be back there at the D list. This is the one from the Sparking Pony. I think that's the name of the bar, right, where Gandalf was sending the hobbits to meet Aragorn. Aragorn back at the day was called Strider, by the way. And I think he got killed by the Nazgul afterwards, so we have seen him like, what, for 2 minutes? Interesting that he's around this side as well. Now we have this dude. I think that's the same situation with this one. He was the one who was opening the door. Do you remember that in the first movie? When the Nazgul came and he was kinda stuck with, you know, under the gate, under the door. I don't know what happened to him. He was a nice dude, but unfortunately we have seen him only for like 1 minute. Now let's talk about, you know, I think the most important character in The Lord of the Rings, and his name is Frodo Baggins. Frodo is the nephew of Bilbo. He was the ring bearer from the beginning until the very end. He was the one who was destroying and actually with that also ending the entire movie by defeating Sauron. You know, throwing the ring into the Mount Doom and actually winning the battle, because let's be honest, the men, they were getting kind of owned. They were getting destroyed by the trolls, orcs, like army coming like crazy, waves of evil units. But at the very last minute, because of the help of Gollum, by the way, because if Gollum wouldn't be around and kind of, you know, getting the ring from the fingers by biting the finger of Frodo, maybe it would end completely different. That's why I feel like personally that Frodo had the same impact like Gollum had, but without Frodo, I think they would have lost, so Frodo is gonna be definitely in the S list. Beautiful. Now we're gonna come to the Elven Queen, Galadriel herself. Galadriel is very, very powerful, but again, we're gonna talk about the impact those characters had in the movie so far. And Galadriel's impact was not as big. I mean, she was helpful with the feel of Galadriel. She gave to Frodo. Frodo was able, I mean, Sam was able to win against Shillop, against the big Spider Queen in the third movie, in The Return of the King. She was being helpful in the first movie as well, but we have not seen her quite a bit in the second and in the third movie. And I feel like she's not gonna make it any higher but C. Beautiful. Let's talk about this dude. This is one of the riders of Theoden, one of the riders of Rohirrim, of Rohan I mean. I think he's one of the captains as well. By far not as impactful as Éomer, by far not as impactful as Elvin, so we're gonna put him actually right there. I would also say that Faramir had more impact than this dude had. Now let's talk about Gandalf the Gray, and let me check, there is no Gandalf the White, so we have only one Gandalf, if I'm not mistaken. We're gonna talk about Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White at once. Gandalf is the one we have seen at the beginning until the very end. He's a very, very cool dude. I think every one of us, you know, we like wizards after all, and Gandalf is one of the best wizards we have seen so far in our lives. Very, very chilled dude, helpful, he likes the hobbits, he likes the man, he is like the best Maya I think they sent to Middle-earth. The best Eastery at least. He's the one who is willing to help everywhere. He wanna support everyone. Always thinking about good stuff. He was Gandalf the Grey at the beginning of the story, and then after actually defeating Balrog and then dying himself, he got sent back to, who actually helped Middle-earth as Gandalf the White, as the leader of the Istari, was very, very powerful, was the reason why Rohan was able to survive. He was the one who was releasing the spell from Theoden, who was actually getting owned by Krima, Wormtong and Saruman. They were having 100% control of Theoden. If Gandalf wouldn't be around, I think Isengard would have defeated Rohan, no big deal. And he was the one who was helping the hobbits. He was the one who was, you know, getting the eagles, I think, at the very last fight at the Black Gate. So he had at least as much impact as Aragorn and Frodo had. He's gonna be definitely not only in the S list, but in my opinion he's the best character and the most impactful character in the history so far. Let's talk about Gimli now. Gimli, alongside with Aragorn and Legolas, is one of the 3 hunters. In the second movie, in the Two Towers, they were hunting orcs and Urukai left and right. He's a really funny dude. He was always having some beef with Legolas, you know, who's gonna kill more units and stuff like this, so he was pretty funny. I like him quite a lot. I would say he had definitely more impact than Éomer had, but less impact than Aragorn had. He wouldn't make it in my list to S, we're gonna put him in the A tier. But obviously above Éomer. Now we have Arwen, the wife of Aragorn. We have seen her in the first movie, we have seen her a couple of times in the second and in the last movie. She did not have too much impact in the story, in my opinion. We're gonna put her next to Faramia. Now we have Gollum, and I was talking about Gollum earlier. I think Gollum is one of the most interesting characters in the Lord of the Rings. And let's think about Lord of the Rings. If Gollum wouldn't be around, I think the movies, they would not be that successful. Just to be able to see the impact of the ring of anybody. I mean of Gollum. He was a hobbit after all, before everything happened, before he got corrupted by the ring. I don't know how old he is. I think he's really, really old. But you can see what the ring does. And I think that's really important for the viewers to understand what happens to you if you are being the ring bearer for a very long time. And Gollum had like 2 different personalities. You know, he was a good guy, he was a bad guy. He was having with his, you know, conversations with himself, with his other himself, if this makes any sense. He was the one who was, you know, helping the hobbits to reach Mordor. You know, kind of trying to betray them on the way. But after all what happened, I think he was really, really helpful. And unfortunately, he died with his, you know, with his ring in his hands in the Mount Doom. But we're gonna put him definitely in the S list. But behind Frodo. Let's go like this. Beautiful. Now we have this dude. He's one of the orcs in the last movie. I don't remember his name, but he's not gonna be that impactful. I think he was the one who was actually saving Frodo, kinda, and bringing him, you know, upstairs where Sam was killing every single one of them to, you know, to actually release or help Frodo to get out of there again. Now we have Gothmock, the leader of the orcs in the battle of the Minas Tirith. So he was leading the armies of Mordor. One of the funny moments when the trebuchets were shooting with the stones, he was like, no one is moving anywhere, you know, and then the trebuchet was shooting right at his face, so he was forced to make a sidestep. It was pretty funny. He was trying to kill Elvin, but just before he was able to do that, he got killed by Gimli and Aragorn. So he was not that impactful. He's gonna be also in the list of the D. Maybe in the C as well, because let's be honest, he was more impactful than these dudes. Now we have Krima Wormtong. He was once a man of Rohan, but then he got corrupted by Saruman, the White Wizard of Isengard. He was having 100% control of Theoden in the second movie until Gandalf the White came. He was also the one in the movies who was actually killing Saruman in the last movie, in the Return of the King, in the extended edition. Then he got killed afterwards from Legolas. Had a lot of impact in the second movie, was not seen one time in the first movie. So we're gonna put him into the B list. This guy is also gonna be in the D list. He's one of the orcs of Mordor in the last fight, in the last movie, The Return of the King. I think he was the one who was... No, this one is actually from the second movie. Do you remember the moment when the Urukai and orcs were fighting about eating the orcs, about eating the hobbits or not? This one was actually, you know, the one who wanted to eat the hobbits. And then he actually followed Merry and Pippin, do you remember, in the forest of Fangorn? And then he got killed by Treebeard right after. Now we have the Giant Eagles. Giant Eagles were very impactful in all the movies, not only in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but also in the Hobbit movies. They were the one who was they were helping Gandalf to find Frodo and Sam in the Mount Doom after they destroyed the ring. They were the ones who were actually, arriving at the last fight in the Black Gate to fight against the Nazgul, against the Fell Beast. And they were also the one who was helping out Gandalf in the second movie after he was prisoned by Saruman in the big tower to actually help him to escape. They're gonna be definitely in the B list. I mean, they are not gonna be as impactful in my opinion as Gimli or Eomer, but they are still very, very powerful. Now let's talk about Hadith. Hadith is one of the heroes of the Elvin units, Elvin people. He was helping out Rohan in the second movie in the towers, in the two towers. With other elves, unfortunately, he got killed in the same movie from a berserker, so he died. He did have a little bit of impact, but not that much. You can actually put him either in the C or D, but I think D feels kind of bad, man, because D has horses and this dude, so he's gonna be in the C list. Okay, let's talk about this guy. He's also one of the men of Rohan. He was the one who was opening, he was guarding the gate when Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli came to speak to King Theoden. He was pretty nice dude. He was also kind of holding the others back when they wanted to kind of fight against Aragorn and Gimli when Gandalf was doing a spell thingy. He had like little bit of impact, but nothing too crazy. He's gonna be in the D list. I don't even remember this guy, so he's gonna be definitely in the D list. This is also one of the members from the first movie. Not that much impact. Now we're gonna talk about the Prince of the Mirkwood Elves, Legolas himself, one of the three hunters alongside with Gimli and Aragorn. Very impactful. Like, he has a lot of style, also in the Hobbit movies, he was shining bright like a diamond, guys. Killing Mumakil like that was dope. Killing also, Wormtong in the second movie, killing a lot of units in the second movie as well. I think he is gonna be next to his friend Gimli. Beautiful. Let's talk about Merry. Merry is one of the four hobbits actually. Frodo, Sam, Merry and also Pippin. And he's the cousin of Pippin. Was very impactful in the last movie. He was, helping out Eowyn big time to kill the Witch King. Supporting Frodo and Sam on their way to Mordor up till the end of the first movie. Being very helpful also in the second movie. So he was pretty strong. Pretty impactful. We're gonna put him also in the B list. I mean, obviously he's not gonna be as impactful as like a Frodo, but he was also really important in the story. Let's talk about the Mouth of Sauron. Maybe some of you guys don't remember the scene because the scene is only being, available in the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings in the Return of the King. Do you remember the scene when Gandalf, Gimli, Legolas and Aragorn are going to the Black Gates, forcing Sauron to actually come out? He was the one who was sent out first. And he was actually talking to Gandalf and telling him lies about what happened to Frodo, that they were managing, that they were able to kill Frodo. Aragorn didn't believe that and cut off his head. It was a pretty dope moment. Unfortunately for this character, he died. And he was not even important to be in the original movies. He was only being able to be seen in the extended edition, so that's why he's gonna be in the D list. This woman is the wife of this dude. They are both hobbits. I think they were seen in the first movie when Gandalf came with the firework. It was a funny moment, but let's be honest, they had like zero impact in the story. Now we have Pedigreen Took. He was like side to side always with Gandalf in the second and in the third movie. He was, following Gandalf on the Shadowfax on his way to Gondor in the beginning of the third movie. He became also the soldier of Gondor afterwards, helping out Gandalf, saving Gandalf's life one time actually in the third movie as well, by defending Minas Tirith. We're gonna put him next to his cousin, who is Merry. Beautiful. This is the wife of Sam. She had like zero impact on the story so far. But let's talk about Sam, boys. Sam, for me, is the real hero of the Lord of the Rings. This guy is the friend every one of us wants to have in his life. He is sportive, not selfish a little bit. He would die for Frodo, guys. He's deeply in love with Frodo in terms of friendship. I have not seen such friendship in real life. And God, please give me a friend like Sam. This guy is the best friend you can actually ever have. He was burying Frodo to the Mount's tomb. He was not leaving him alone all movie long. He is such a great friend, and he has as much impact as Frodo had, if not even more. Because let's be honest, without Sam, Frodo would not be able to destroy the ring. He would not even be able to reach Mount Doom himself. So Sam is definitely one of the most impactful characters in the Lord of the Rings. Let's talk about the second White Wizard. His name is Saruman. Saruman was corrupting Tilden. He was, making Urukai. The Urukai, by the way, are much stronger than orcs. He was the leader of the Istari in the movies. He was very powerful. We have seen him in the first, in the second and in the third one. But let's be honest, he had not as much impact as Gandalf had. He was like having zero impact in the third movie. He was the one who was attacking Rohan, though. He got defeated right after from the Ents. So we're gonna put him actually above this list, put him in the A list. Beautiful. Let's talk about Sauron. Sauron is gonna be definitely in the S list. We're gonna put him also in the first place because he's the reason why this story exists. He's the Lord of the Rings after all. He lost his body and became a great eye afterwards to the sword of Elendil, Andúril, the Flame of the West. He was always trying to find the ring, which would, make him kind of invincible. He was dominating the fights even without the ring. Imagine if he would get the ring in his fingers, guys. That would be crazy, and I think the whole story is based on that. Like, I think they are trying to tell us from the beginning of the movies until the very end, if Sauron manages to get the ring, it is game over. Like, you can't do anything about it anymore. Even though I would love to see that. I would laugh and Sauron would be able to get the ring and then a 1v1 against Aragorn, because Aragorn had the Elendil sword. He had the Andúril Flame of the West in his hands. And Aragorn is a really talented swordsman as well. So maybe he would be able to fight against Sauron, but we will never know. Now we have Shadowfax. Shadowfax is the horse of Gandalf. He is apparently the fastest horse in the earth. Very great looking horse. We have other horses also in this D list, but I would say Shadowfax is definitely much more impactful than those horses, because he had like a story himself, like they talked about this horse, they didn't talk about these horses. So I think he had much more impact. We're gonna put him next to the C list. Beautiful. This is one of the Urukai. We're gonna put him in the D list. This is Shillop. Shillop was the reason why almost Frodo got killed. It was a legendary fight between Sam and against Shillop. And that proves once again that Sam is a really great friend who was saving Frodo afterwards. Shillop had a lot of impact in the third movie, but not being seen one time in the first and in the second. We're gonna put him in the C list. Let's talk about the leader of the Army of the Dead now, guys. Army of the Dead leader. By the way, those guys were once soldiers of Gonzo. They refused to fight, and Elendil, or in this case Isildur, cursed them. So they are actually dead, but they can't have peace because of the curse. So Aragorn, once he was able to get the sword of Elendil, which is the Andúril sword, the Flame of the West, I like to say that, he was kind of forcing the Army of the Dead to fight for him in Minas Tirith if they want to regain the honor and actually find peace in their lives after in their death. And they were the reason why Gonzo was able to win the fight at Minas Tirith. When you think about it, if Aragorn would convince these guys to fight for him once again at the Black Gate, the ring wouldn't even need to be destroyed, because let's be honest, these guys are invincible. They don't die, they don't take any damage, they can go over water, guys. If they would be fighting for Aragorn at Black Gate, the fight would be 100% unfair, because they would just go solo and kill everything, So he's very, very strong, unkillable, obviously. Only Aragorn can kill him actually with the Sword of Elendil, I think. Because you have seen what happens if Legolas was shooting them down, the arrow was going right through their head, so they are not able to take any damage. Gimli was also not able to hurt them. what can kill them. I think trolls can't hurt them, orcs can't hurt them, so they need to just go over them and one-shot everything, you know? So he's gonna be very, very impactful. We're gonna put him in the B list. The reason why he's not being any higher is because we have seen him only one time in the third movie, you know? The ring is gonna be also in the C list, in the S list, I mean, sorry. The reason is simple. There is one Lord and one ring. This is the one ring who can actually, you know, has such an impact on every person bearing the ring. We have seen what happens to Bilbo Baggins. In the first movie, we have seen what happens to Gollum because of the ring. He was kind of killing his own cousin because of that. And getting like a monster, you know. So ring is very, very powerful. But I would say he's gonna be below Gollum and Sam. Now we have the Witch King. Witch King, by the way, maybe you don't know, was in the movies from the beginning. Like, he was one of the 9 Black Riders, but the Witch King was built up in the third movie. Like, there needed to be a worthy opponent to Gandalf. And there is one scene in the extended edition which doesn't make any sense to me because it didn't happen in the movie, in the books. But Witch King was almost able to kill Gandalf until Rohirrim arrived. And he was killing also Theoden in the last fight. He was getting killed afterwards by Elvin. Very impactful in all the movies. We're gonna put him in the B list. Now let's talk about Theoden. Theoden is the king of Rohan. He was the king of Rohan. He unfortunately got killed by Witch King in the last movie, like mentioned before. I think Theoden had a lot of impact. If not, he's not gonna be in the S list, but he's gonna be definitely in the E list. The moment of Rohirrim arriving at Minas Tirith, that was a battle scene I have not seen one time in my entire life, and I will never forget this moment, guys. When Rohirrim are arriving, Theoden is having a speech to his Rohirrim. He's saying death, and then they are writing it down. That was epic, and even when I'm talking about it, guys, I get like crazy. Like, I get so hyped about it. That's the best scene ever. He was a really great king, great leader. And I would, you know, you can just judge me if you want to, but I would say the speech of Theoden was better than the speech of Aragorn in the Black Gate. Because you see hordes of units in front of your base. The city is burning, guys. Minas Tirith is burning. You see, like, trolls, orcs everywhere. You don't see any space where there is not a single orc. I mean, orcs literally everywhere. Theoden is riding, talking to his Rohirrim, and they're writing it down. That was epic. And just because of that, he's gonna be at the A list. At you know, A in the tier list. This, by the way, was Theodred. I think it was his name. We have seen him like one time, a little bit. He was dead when we have seen him. He's the son, the only son of Theoden. He unfortunately got killed by the Urukai. He had like 0 impact in the story, in my opinion. So we're gonna put him in the D list. Now we have Balrog. Balrog is one of the Mayas sent to Middle-earth. He's one of the evil Mayas. He was following Morgoth. Yeah, I mean, he was having a lot of impact in the first movie. He was almost able to kill Gandalf. He's the reason why Gandalf became white. And just because of that reason, he's gonna be in the B list. Because he was being actually helpful, unwillingly helpful. Because without him, Gandalf would be grey and he would not be that powerful, you know? Tom Bombadil. We have not seen him one time in the movies. We have only heard about him, but also in the movies, also in the books, he did have like 0 impact. Now, he was not very... he was very powerful, but again, this list is gonna be based on the impact they had in the story, and Tom Bombadil had like 0 impact, so we're gonna put him unfortunately in the D list. Let's talk about Treebeard. Treebeard is the leader of the Ents, the leader of the trees in the Fangorn Forest. Fangorn Forest is his home. He was able to save, you know, Merry and Pippin against this orc right there, who was trying to kill them. He was also able to help Gandalf, you know, find the Palantir, defeat Isengard with his Ents. So very, very impactful. Unfortunately, we have not seen him one time in the third movie. So we're gonna put him. I think he's less impactful than these guys. We're gonna put him in the B list, not in the E list. And this is also the last here. This is Urukai. We have seen him like one time, I think, in the second movie, if I'm not mistaken, when they were kind of fighting around if they should be killing the hobbits to eat them or not. He was the one who was saying no. This guy was the one who was saying yes, and they were having a beef. That's it, guys. We have obviously much more characters, but I think that's all we got so far. If you want to do that yourself, I'm gonna leave a link to that in the description down below. Let me know your opinions. Maybe you are not agreeing with me in some situations. Let me know. I would love to hear your opinions. Maybe you guys know also the names of these two dudes and these three dudes actually. I don't know their names, guys. I would love to know these characters' names. I know this one, Teardred, but this three and this two, I don't know. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I see you next time. Take care of yourselves and as always, stay beyond standards. Peace guys.